Hello, this is Steve Vanderbilt with Citizens United for Change, here to deliver a weekly update on the activities of the organization. As you can see, we've moved into our new offices and we are finally up and running once again. Now, we are currently still working on the preparatory steps to file litigation against the Obama administration and 14 officials named directly for conspiracy to murder a United States citizen. This litigation that we are preparing is very comprehensive. It is not so much designed to make a first strike in a political statement, but to have teeth and go through the full process in the system, just not to be dismissed at the first hearing. Now, in addition to that, we are following a piece of legislation or an amendment to a piece of legislation that was brought forth by two Republicans, a Democrat and independent. Two of the people noted as Scott Brown, Republican of Massachusetts, and Joe Lieberman, Independent. Now, in looking at this legislation, this bill, one in the House, one in the Senate. We are looking at this legislation as a modification of the Immigration and Nationality Act. And what is concerning about this is it is for the expatriation of a naturalized or nationally born, in other words, U.S. citizen. There's some specific languages in this act that's of great concern for the organization, for our members specifically. It states in Section 8, providing material support or resources to a foreign terrorist organization. Now, on the surface, that seems pretty benign, but the problem is there are historically, there has been several organizations that have provided humanitarian aid into Palestine specifically that have been named by the State Department as a front for terrorist organizations, only to be found that that is not the case. Now, anybody who would have contributed to that humanitarian organization under this act would have been eligible for criminal prosecution and deportation. Now, the process that we're looking at here is just this. It's an accusation of terrorist activity and supporting a terrorist activity, first off, which means there's never been any jury trial. Now, the selection of this, or the selection to the list of this, is pretty interestingly done under the INA Act of 1965, Section 19, which is designation of a foreign terrorist organization. At the very bottom of the act, it describes one portion. The term secretary means the Secretary of State in consultation with the Secretary of Treasury and the Attorney General. It gives one point to ponder here. Now, in tracking down the language of this bill, or this amendment to a bill, you're looking at designations across 5 separate acts, which seems very counterintuitive. It was very difficult to actually look at this and read this bill, which should be subject for concern, because every time you hop from one piece of legislation and law to another, it brings another loophole into the mix. And that loophole into the mix is dangerous for our individual constitutional rights, its interpretation. Now, we would view this piece of legislation specifically in violation of the Constitution for the 6th and 7th Amendment to provisions for criminal and civil prosecution. Every U.S. citizen is guaranteed a jury trial by their peers in a criminal prosecution. Civil prosecution, you're guaranteed certain other rights. This is not the first time Mr. Lieberman has brought forth subjective legislation. Recently, in connection with Senator John McCain, they brought forth the Enemy Belligerent Interrogation, Detention, and Prosecution Act of 2010, Senate Bill 3081. As you can see, this bill specifically strips a United States citizen of their constitutional rights and would place them in military detention on the accusation of being involved with a terrorist organization. So, in the appearance of trying to look tough on terrorism, which we view as a criminal act, not so much an act of war, Mr. Lieberman and Mr. McCain, Mr. Brown, and a few others in Congress have elected to trample our constitutional rights as guaranteed by the Founding Fathers. The position of Citizens United for Change is these will be reviewed for legal action. Once again, as a member of Citizens United for Change, we would like to thank you for supporting this cause. If you are not a member of Citizens United for Change, we ask you to go to www.changeunion.com to review what the union does. We are much different than any other political organization currently running at this time. We have taken a proactive stance. We have been organized in a manner that gets around campaign finance laws and nonprofit and taxation laws that prevent nonprofit organizations or traditionally formed political action committees or non-governmental organizations or 527s from actually taking litigation actions on behalf of the citizens of the United States. We are formed in the organization of a union, and on that position, we are able to take actions on behalf of our union members. And that is currently what we're doing. We're very proud to state that we are growing very quickly, that people are beginning to look around and see that they actively need to make a daily stance. Most people cannot make a daily stance, and that's what we do. Now, what we would encourage you to do is to take a review of the site. We would ask you to look at our archive of documents with our sister organization, regimechange.org, and become informed. For today, in defense of your constitutional rights, I'm Steve Vanderbilt with Citizens United for Change. Thank you.